Act like a parent. Would you chime in there, Brother Copper?
My background is in pediatrics, and so I have to look at it from that perspective. We have so many children on processed foods. I have reversed symptoms of ADD just by removing processed foods and food colorings and dyes and things like that. Also limiting screen time, because it gets, even with adults, there's so many people complaining about insomnia, but then they're on their phones and on their TVs and things like an hour or two before bed, and then wonder like, oh, I can't get to sleep. So that's really important. I think really instilling African-centered education into children is going to really raise their self-esteem. I was really blessed to have been mentored since the age of 15 and read my first Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop book at age 15 and really became just indoctrinated in African-centered thought, saw lectures with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima at the age of 16. And so when you really know and have knowledge of self, it's very difficult to go on the wrong path. So I think that's really important that we instill it in our children. And just, that, and again, a nutrition perspective is really making sure that they're eating right and eating well, and not just being filled with junk, because it's so pervasive in this culture that it's such a dumbing down that is happening in America right now, and we really just have to counter that.
Brother Copper, would you chime in on that side?
Family, I've spent my life in classrooms with our children. I started teaching in Gary, Indiana, in 1977, and I moved back to New York in 79. I remained in the same community for 31 years, 3 months, and 15 days, attempting to perfect a curriculum. Because Professor John Henry Clark, when I spoke to him, I said, Professor Clark, what do you think I could best contribute? And he said, there'll be people with money, there'll be people with buildings, there'll be people with schools. But what we need is, once you get the child in the chair, what you going to tell them? I developed a curriculum, and the curriculum that I developed was developed through them, for them. I want to leave us with this understanding. Our children are geniuses.
That's right.
We need to understand this. We need to understand that we are born with every piece of information that has ever existed, is existing now, and will ever exist. We have to understand that when we are interacting with our children, even the way in which we're talking to them makes a difference as to how they can retain, assimilate, and excel in the information that we're giving them. And it's like if we turned off all the lights in the room. You could see nothing in front of you. And then all of a sudden you found the light switch. You turned the light on, you saw the chairs, the tables, the microphones, the speakers, the people. My question is, did all those things appear in the room when you turned the light on? No, they were always there, your light just wasn't on. The very best teachers are facilitators. They facilitate you learning. I can't turn that light switch on for another person. I can only guide them to where it might be. And once they turn the light on, everything else, as I've spoken to people that have been here, they said, ever since they saw Hidden Colors, all of a sudden something happened. Now, you may be in your 50s and 60s. 10 years ago, you found something out that revolutionized your life. So it doesn't make a difference how much time you spend on task. It's when you're exposed to it that it makes a difference. Our children are ready to learn. My question to us, are we ready to teach? I'm talking about getting real down. I am talking about that one-to-one conversation that we take the time to look in their eyes and say, hey, young brother, young sister, how you doing? As I go from my home to my garage to get the car, my children's friends, of course in their 30s and 40s and some are younger in their 20s, it is hard for me to pass them and not say, hey, how you doing? It's un-African not to address each other. Dr. Edwin Nichols talks about the axiologies of different cultural groups. He talks about the African axiology is related to person to person. The Asian perspective is the individual to the group. They're orientated to the group. They're not orientated to each other. And he says that the European is orientated from the person to the material wealth. And on all those axiologies determines how their perception of the world is going to be. In terms of politics, I hear people say, well, they don't like me. Well, I don't like them. It's not. Governance in America under white supremacy is not about liking, it's about material wealth.
Right, right.
It has nothing to do with, vote for me and I'll set you free. And let me just end with this. Normally I try to make us laugh before I give you a bitter pill. Normally I try to give you honey before you have to swallow a bitter pill. Family, everybody in this room, if you're an adult, you are going to vote in November. It don't make a difference what we think. You are going to vote. You can vote for the possibility. You can vote for the probability. You can vote for Joe Biden. You can vote for Donald Trump. But if you don't vote, you're voting for Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
It's hard, brother, but I got to give it to you. Sisters, I have to tell us. Because I'm thinking about grandma who needs to get her medication, who's going to lose her care. I'm thinking about the young brothers and sisters in education where they're going to be cut. Their funds are going to be cut. So we have an opportunity now to make a decision for ourselves. Now that we are here, now that we see how corrupt, how horrible the caveman mentality is. Now that we know, as Dr. Clark told us, we have no friends. And even some of us ain't very friendly to each other. What are we going to do? Our children deserve the best because they are the best.
Okay.
I've been with them long enough to know that. And they need us to step forward, lead by example.
I say. Thank you so much.